Our expert in elder law, Gary Price, offers some insights on Medicaid and the folks in what is commonly called the middle class. Good morning, Gary.
Hi, good morning, Angie.
Well, this is a topic I don't think that we've really talked about extensively, so let's kind of walk us through what we're talking about. Class-wise, are there limits to being eligible for Medicaid?
Really, no limits. Middle class, approximately, if you're in the income bracket of $50,000 to $150,000 a year, I think you fall into that category of middle class. And if you have assets and resources that a person who makes $50,000 to $150,000 usually have, then so that's your middle class. And by the way, that's probably the majority of people who contact me for assistance in this area of Medicaid. They qualify for that as a middle class. So unfortunately, many of these people, especially the elderly, they still think of Medicaid as a welfare program, or a program that maybe they don't qualify for because in their mind, they make too much money or they have too many resources. And that's really what we want to try to get those people to understand, is that that's not the case. There is no, going back to your first question, there really is no limit.
Well, let's talk about those resources a bit, too, because I'm sure if folks haven't asked all those questions like, am I eligible, they're not really thinking about what is considered a resource and what would be part of the conversation with you about those resources.
Well, I always ask the question, we kind of do an inventory of bank accounts, of investments. Those are the resources we're talking about. Life insurance policies, of course, your vehicle, your home. Not all those assets are an issue for Medicaid. For example, your home is usually exempt. One vehicle is usually exempt. But that's the type of discussion we have. And we just basically do an inventory of the assets that you have. We itemize, or we separate those assets as to what's exempt as far as Medicaid is concerned and what's not exempt. And then we develop a plan to get you qualified.
Well, Gary, I'm curious about how the sort of urban legend or the myth about Medicaid and middle-class people, that it was just for the poor, how did that happen?
Well, unfortunately, it happens mostly by word of mouth. And you and I, we've talked before, usually it's the negative that goes from word of mouth, from person to person. They usually talk the negative. Seldom do they talk the positive.
True.
At the time, I think it probably was before 1989, maybe. And in 89, they started bringing in some more laws to allow us to shelter certain assets. And the reason we shelter assets is to avoid, let's say you have a spouse at home, and if one spouse needed to go into the nursing facility and you started spending your money monthly to pay for that facility, what you're going to do is you're going to cause that spouse at home to be impoverished and go into poverty. That's what a lot of the laws are there to protect, or at least that's how it started. And so the laws began to change. So I think at one time that may have been a true statement, that the Medicaid program is a welfare program for the indigent. It's not the case anymore. Well,
that's why we're here to explode those myths. Gary, let everybody know how they can get your book.
Okay, I've got the book. We talk about this in the book, Medicaid in Indiana. All you do is call my office at 812-479-8721, and we'll send you a copy, and of course, we'll send it to you for free.
Thank you so much, Gary Price.
All right, thank you.
Talk to you soon. We'll be back with more local lifestyles after this message.